Hey guys, so today I want to talk about a haunting from my childhood. It was probably the year 1997. No, it was 96 because I was about 9. Wait, no. It was about 98 because I was like 11, I think. I was in 5th grade. Anyway, we lived in an old hospital in this town called Ketchikan, Alaska, and it was a very small town on an island. And we lived in an old hospital. We were very poor, and my mom, she worked at a hotel as a housekeeper, so we didn't have a lot of money. So we lived in this old hospital that was a hospital in like the 50s and stuff like that, and it was on this hillside, or rather the side of a mountain, I guess you could say. And it was shaped like a U. So imagine there's like, it's like this. There's like one hallway, one hallway, one hallway. And there was 3 floors. There was the bottom, like the ground floor, and nobody lived there from what I had seen. And then there was the middle floor, or the second floor, and then there was the 3rd floor. We lived on the 2nd floor. And if you can imagine like a hospital where they had, you get on the hallway and there's like room and a room and a room and a room. Well, what they had done is they had knocked down walls in between the rooms to make the apartments, they were like long ways instead of like, like a square or like a rectangle like a house would be normally. So it was like you walk into the living room, and to your left was the bathroom, and then there was like a really long hallway, and it was like the kitchen, and then after that was my mom's room, and then you walk down a longer hallway, the rest of the hallway, and at the very end was me and my sister's bedroom. We shared a room. And all around the apartment there was staircases, like going up the side of the mountain. There was like a really, really long staircase at the back of the place, and there was like a boardwalk outside of, our windows. They were all on the one side of the apartment facing like another building, and there was like a little boardwalk in between that you could go on from the main road to get into like the back hallway. And I remember when we moved in, and another part of the hospital, the apartment, there was like a giant, I guess it was like a metal pole. It was running through the entire length of the apartment, like through the ceiling. It was maybe like a foot from the top of the ceiling, and it ran through every single room of the house. And I remember that very distinctly because it's part of the story, that metal bar. But in my room, every time I would sleep, I always got such an uneasy feeling, like the worst feeling that somebody was in the corner watching me. And I remember I'd come home from school every day, because I walked home from school, and I would come home by myself, and it was every single fucking day that I came home from school, the whole entire power in the whole building would be out. So I would be too scared to walk through the fucking long ass hallways because it was so dark, and the hallways were so long. So what I would do is I would go to that boardwalk that was on the back where all our windows were, and like in between the boardwalk and the apartment building was probably about a good 5 feet, about as tall as I was, and when I reached my arms out. And below it was like a 20-foot drop into this like rocky area. And so I would, lean over that boardwalk and lean against the side of the apartment and push the window open, throw my stuff in, and then I would leave. I'd go to the library or something until my mom got home from work. And so this is about the time when Beanie Babies were really popular. Anybody my age or a little bit older, y'all know Beanie Babies were the shit back then. They were like, everybody had them. Everybody, like, they were everywhere. And it was like the year that McDonald's had them in their Happy Meals. I remember that. And I was playing with, y'all remember like that purple Princess Diana bear? It had like the little white rose on the chest right here. It was all like a really like royal purple. I was playing with that bear in my mom's room one day, and I was like, I had tied a string around its neck, and I was holding it out the window, and I was like, hitting the windows below me because, I don't know, I thought it was funny. I was a kid, and all of a sudden, she had this really tall dresser in the room. Like, if you stood on it, you could reach that big metal pole that I told y'all about. I was playing in her room, and she had a robe, and you know how robes, they've got the tie to go around your waist to close your robe. I took that off out of her robe, and I tied it around my neck. Mind you, I'm a kid, so I don't know what suicide, I don't know what harming yourself is yet. I don't know any of that stuff because I hadn't been exposed to it yet. So I tied it around my neck, and then I climbed up on her dresser, and then I tied it around that big pole that was on the ceiling, or near the ceiling, and I hung on to the pole, and I started swinging back and forth while my neck was tied to this pole. And then I did that for a minute, and then I undid it, and then I took it off, and I sat down and continued playing with that Beanie Baby. And then I didn't think anything of it for years until I was exposed to those type of things. And now when I look back on it, I mean, like, what was that? What the hell was that? Like, for real. If y'all have ever, like, unconsciously done things like this, like, let me know, because this is, when I look back on this, it's like so creepy to think about, like, mixed with all the other things that would happen and all the stories that I would hear. Like, you would, like, when the power would go out, I remember the first time it happened, I was brave enough and I walked through the hallways and I heard a little girl crying, because I would have to walk up the main stairs, which was like in the very center of the U, so it was like, the building surrounded the staircase in the center of it, and you had to walk up the stairs because the elevator was broken, and you could look through the elevator. It was like one of those really old type elevators with like the glass panels on it, and you could look through and you could see there was like a big bucket in there. And there was always a rumor that back when it was a hospital, people were riding the elevator and it snapped and the elevator free fell, and then of course killed the people inside of it. I don't know if that was true, but when you're a kid and that's just other kids make up things, and so you just kind of like go with it because you don't really know anything else. But when you look through the glass panels, you could see what looked like blood on the floor, like stained, like it was a big like patch, like dark. You know how blood looks when it sits on something for too long. It gets like a dark, rusty red color. Not red, but like brownish red. It was like that. And there was like a big bucket, like one of those big Home Depot or Lowe's buckets. It was like that big. And it was like full of like dirty water or something. And then like when like what I was saying, the power went out, and I had walked through the hallway one day, and like on my hallway there was like just a wall at the end of the hallway, but if you walked around the U and onto the other hallway, there was a door to that big staircase that I was telling about before. And I had heard a little girl crying when I came up the stairs. So, and the power was out, so I thought she was like lost in the hallway or something. So I go around, and as I'm like getting towards this sound, it seems like it's moving further away from me. And I get to the other side of the hallway, and that door is open. It's middle of the day, of course. And so all the light is shining through, and there's absolutely nobody in there. So that was creepy. This building was just creepy in general. Like, all of the things accumulated. In the bathroom, it was like one room. Well, it was like two rooms, because the toilet and the sink were in one little room, and then off to this little, it was almost like a closet with a bathtub in it. And when I was in the bath, and the room with the toilet had lockers in it, like nursing lockers, like, for nurses to put their stuff in. It had a bunch of lockers in it. And anytime I was in that, taking a bath in that tub, I just had this overwhelming uneasy feeling that somebody was in the room with the toilet in it. So it was just like so many things, the power going out, the trying to hang myself, but not really because I didn't know what I was doing. The feeling of being watched and followed, and just, it was, I hated living there. I hated it so much. We only, thank God, lived there for like a year. And I never wanted to be in there alone. It was just so creepy anytime I was in there. But, yeah, that was just one of my paranormal stories. If y'all would like to hear any more, I've got quite a few, because I grew up in like, really old towns in Alaska, and, being poor and everything, we usually had to live in like the shittiest parts of town where like lots of bad stuff happened, and like, I had lots of history. So if y'all would like to hear another story, just let me know. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.